Algeria, Ivory Coast, Nigeria and Ghana may have bruised egos, but I'm proud to say I'm now part of the club. Rocking a black eye after taking a football straight to the face, I walked off with my head held relatively high, and you'll be glad to know I didn't cry a lot, and most importantly, it didn't go in. Welcome to the Anglo-Italian pod, guys. It's that time of the week again. As always, I am Ruairi and I'm joined by my very good friend
Tommi, and I'm very happy to be here. Ruairi made me giggle intensely when he sent me a selfie with his black eye. I have to say that it's not even that cool of a black eye. I've seen cooler black eyes, but the story of you in goal, saving the shot, it was just beautiful, man.
It was a brutal. It was one of those, like, I'm making excuses, but it was one of those calcetto balls. So it's like they're a little bit heavier, a little bit smaller. I swear that thing felt like a cannon to the face. Anyway, I was more worried, honestly, about my contact lens coming out, but it didn't. I managed to continue playing, and weirdly, much like Sadio Mané, afterwards I started playing a lot better. I was
like
really bad at the beginning of that game. Could not pass a yard. It was terrible. Got hit in the face and then scored 2 goals, you know? So I actually did better than Mané, if you think about it.
Oh, if you think about it, yeah. You think you definitely have a concussion, Ruairi. This is episode 6 of our AFCON special, but it's also our second season doing this pod, and this is overall episode 37 of the second season. Spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting real close to episode 100 overall, and we're going to organize some celebrations for that day. But before we delve into this episode, remember to follow us on Instagram at Anglo-Italian Pod, on Twitter at Italian Anglo Pod, and also to follow our cheeky sponsor at the Sports Club Maps. It's not Christmas time anymore, but why don't you treat yourself with a beautiful Sports Club map from their website? Ruairi, quite a lot to discuss today. We've got, of course, our AFCON review, this time with a guest. You want to tell us something about this guest?
Yeah, we're finally getting him on. We've had Gav Mack on, and we are now having his very good friend Devo on from the Mad Sports Network, and we are going to be talking all things AFCON, talking about the last 16 and previewing the quarterfinals. It's all looking very spicy.
And after that, we'll take a look, since it's international break, at the transfer window, both in England and in Italy, as some big names return. And then we are just going to have to touch on something very quickly. One of the pod's favorites, especially Ruairi's, is back in the Italy squad. Say no more. His name is Mario Balotelli, and we can't wait to discuss it. I can see an epic moment coming. But first things first. Ruairi, if you have nothing to add, shall we jump on our blimp and travel all the way across the Mediterranean southwards to Africa?
Let's do it. I love going there.
We promise we are not hurting any child. You might hear some crying in the background. That's the daughter of our guest. This is no news to the Anglo-Italian pod. We are a kid-friendly podcast. Welcome to the Anglo-Italian pod. Devo, how are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. Thanks for having me, man. Been looking forward to this, so thank you.
And of course, Ruairi is there too, and I think it's Ruairi that you should thank for sliding into your DMs.
Morning, afternoon, hello guys. Hope you're all well. Yeah, welcome onto the pod, Devo. We've been talking about it for a few weeks, managed to squeeze it in, and it's a good point, I think, of the tournament. We've got all the games over. Tomorrow, there will be no games, so people can actually listen to this episode for more than an hour, which is nice. And we've got some quarterfinals to look forward to. So we're going to go through the last 16 games. Before we do, which moments have you enjoyed most of the tournament so far? Like what, or teams, players?
I think the big story is it's got to be Comoros, hasn't it? Comoros and the giant killing in general, because there's been a lot. It's been a good advert for African football outside of the major nations that everyone's going to look towards, the likes of Equatorial Guinea, the Gambia, teams like that who have had a really good show in Malawi. I think that's been the best story of this year's competition, and I think it's been very entertaining. A slow start, a very slow start, but that's normal in international tournaments, I suppose. The first round of games, people are a bit nervous, don't really want to give up any ground. And then the second game, that's when you start to see teams come out of their shell a bit. And I think that's exactly what happened in this tournament, kind of caught fire the second round of games.
Any team you were backing or you are currently backing?
Yes, Morocco. No, I have to be honest. I backed Algeria financially, and it was a big mistake. They literally were so poor because I put money on them. So if you're Algerian, I apologize. But I also said Morocco would do well. I feel like they got a lot of technical players at the top end of the pitch, sturdy defenders, some really good defenders in the Moroccan side as well. And I expected them to do well. And it's going to be a very interesting game with them in Egypt coming up.
Was it for that reason that your daughter was crying in the background? You bet all of her toys on Algeria to win it all.
It wasn't that much. She's got a lot of toys. I probably should have. It would have helped me with the spaces in my house. But yeah, it wasn't that much.
There's been a player with Morocco who really impressed me, and it's a player who, while he was in the Premier League, kind of disappointed a little bit. But Boufal has been incredible this tournament. Like all I remember him for at Southampton is scoring unbelievable goals, but then not doing much more. But I think he's been really impressive. He's been one of their main focal points. I think it's a kind of they've surprised me a little bit because I think with people, especially with Morocco, they only ever think of like Hakimi, right? He's the big name, but I think they've had a lot of players. You're right, that kind of stood out and showing that they're definitely capable. Definitely capable.
Yeah, Boufal for me, he's always been a really good player. Really good. Some players, they come to the Premier League and they find it very hard to fit in. Southampton was struggling at times when he was there. And he's not the kind of player that is going to want to work back and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. He's been really good for Angers in France this season. He's been really good in a Angers side that have been very, they've surprised a lot of people in their standing in the league. I thought it was going to be the bottom end of the table. Mm-hmm. But he's been integral to them staying at the top end there, a couple points off of the top four as we speak. So, he's had a good season. He's kind of taken that into the AFCON as well. Very good player.
And Rory, how are you feeling about the team you were backing, Ivory Coast?
Oh, I'm very, very disappointed. We're going to cover the game a little bit later, but as an Arsenal fan, like Arsenal hat on, I'm kind of thinking, okay, Pepe has been one of the players of the tournament. Hopefully Arteta's actually watched him and can figure out how to use him, because I'm still insistent there is a player there somewhere. But I'm really disappointed for Ivory Coast. Obviously, drawing Egypt was like the hardest draw they could have got, really. And they did lose on penalties, so it was fine margins. But I'm disappointed. I thought they had a real chance to go on and win it. I think they were the most impressive team, like in the group stage, alongside Nigeria, who obviously got knocked out. So I did think they had a chance.
Definitely. And I'm pretty happy about my, so to say, Senegal, which I'm backing simply because my best friend from high school gave me a Senegal shirt. And I didn't expect them to go this far, but I said it. They're kind of on the right side of the bracket. And right now they've got this game against Equatorial Guinea. And then they're going to face the winner between Burkina Faso and Tunisia. So there might as well be a chance for Senegal to go all the way to the final and win their first AFCON ever, which would be kind of interesting to see, I think.
I feel like with Senegal, they've just been efficient, right? They've just been really efficient. I don't think any of their games have been particularly entertaining. I don't think they've been like free-flowing, but they're getting the job done. Like, Devo, what do you think of Senegal so far?
I think that's the perfect explanation for what's actually happened with Senegal. They have not been very good, if we're honest. Mm-hmm. They've done just enough in each game. They got very lucky in the opening game, very lucky. And they've just kind of managed to do just enough to get through each game. There's a wealth of talent in that Senegal side, and we haven't seen really any of them turn up yet, which is a scary proposition, because once they do click, as you said, they're only a couple games away from the final. They have got the easier side of the draw, which seems a bit harsh when you look at what Tunisia have done in this tournament. And Burkina Faso, they're a good side in their own rights, but you do want to avoid the Egypts, you do want to avoid the Moroccos and stuff like that. So if Senegal do click, I would fancy them to go on and win this as well.
Quick little prediction. We are known for wrong predictions only at the Anglo-Italian pod. Right now that the quarterfinals are all set, before we actually review the round of 16, I would like to know first from Rory, then from Devo, and then from myself, what do you think the final is going to look like? Which are the two teams that are going to go all the way to the final?
I'm going to let you go first, Devo.
Okay. Oh, right. Lovely. Nice hospitality there. Thank you. Well, you know what? It's hard to look past Egypt. Once they get to this stage of the African nations, it's hard to look past them. Like they just know how to get to the finals. They know how to win this competition. They've done it before, and it would also be a crowning moment for Mohamed Salah. And football's all about narratives, isn't it?
Definitely.
So if Mohamed Salah went and won the AFCON, then you can't really deny him his Ballon d'Or shouts and all that kind of stuff. So it wouldn't surprise me if Egypt made it to the final. And again, as we just said, Senegal from the other side. So I would expect to see an Egypt-Senegal final.
Rory, what do you say?
I'm going to say Senegal on that side of the bracket. Definitely you expect them to get there. But I'm going to say with them being the hosts, I think Cameroon are going to get there. Again, we'll get onto it, but the refereeing performance in the Cameroon-Comoros game and the situation around it makes me think that CAF really want Cameroon to get there. So I think Cameroon might get to the final. So I'm going to say Cameroon-Senegal final. Tommy, what do you think?
And I agree with you. I agree with Rory. Senegal, Cameroon. If I had to pick another team on that side of the bracket besides Cameroon, it would probably be Morocco, though. However, I'm going to stick to Senegal, Cameroon, which I think would make for a very interesting final. And we're going to cover it in a second. But Onana finally seems to have found his shape. And he had more than a few very important saves in the round of 16. But let's start from where we left off. On Monday night, we just had enough time to cover Guinea and the Gambia. But right after our pod, Cameroon took on Comoros in quite a crazy game. Who wants to start sharing their feelings about this win by the hosts of the tournament?
Well, I think we should start with the whole goalkeeper situation, right? We kind of briefly covered it on the pod, but how they seem to change the rules in between the group stage and the knockout round so that Comoros couldn't play a goalkeeper in terms of that isolation, to me seemed a bit suspicious and seemed a bit like very FIFA-y. And then the red card on Comoros. Now, I don't know I assume you've seen the red card, but for me, it was incredibly harsh for that to be a straight red. What do we think?
You know what?
You go, Devo.
I can see why it's given us a red. And the theme of the tournament has been red cards, so it's keeping with the theme. I think there's been two red cards per game on average. It's been mental, and I feel sorry because I didn't realize this was Jimmy Abdu, Millwall legend.
Yeah.
I looked at it, I was like, is that the same guy? He was playing at Millwall about 10, 15 years ago. So yeah, it was harsh, and to have the situation they've already got and then to go a man down, it's like, my gosh, you guys, someone's got it in for you.
Yeah. It really did feel like I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I know that's what all conspiracy theorists say, but I'm not. But it did feel like a conspiracy theory against them when they were down to 10 men after, was it 12 minutes? I think he was sent off.
7 minutes. Seven minutes.
7 minutes.
Jeez.
What did you think, Tommy, of it?
I don't think, number one, I think it's a harsh foul, and with a player of his experience, he could have avoided easily. It was in a part of the pitch where the opposition is not creating that much danger. It's right as the game has started, and he kind of sinks his studs in the other player's legs. So, also judging the other red cards that there have been in this AFCON, I don't think this is the harshest we've seen, and I can kind of stick with the decision of the referee. At the same time, yes, it does feel extremely unfortunate for Comoros. They're playing a defender in goal with a taped number on the back.
All about that. That's great.
All about that, yeah. And then they get a red card after the 7th minute, and that was extremely harsh. And then Carl Toko Ekambi at the 29th minute mark, he scores a goal assisted by Vincent Abubakar. And there you really see the lack of a goalkeeper in goal. You see the defender kind of tries to dive, but then stops right away when he realizes the ball is too far. What do you make of that goal, Devo?
Yeah, I mean, fair play to him. I can't remember his name. The left back that ended up in goal. He's up against the hottest strikers in tournament, in Akambi and Abubakar. If he's a keeper, you say maybe you could do a bit more of that. But as a left back, you can't really say, you can't really give him his stick. He tried his best, and he made a magnificent double save at one point. And
he did. Yeah.
Well played. But yeah, I have to say, just generally, I'm doing the AFCON fantasy football as well.
Okay.
I captained a Cambi and had a Boubacar up front as well, expecting it to be double digits. And I have to say, Cameroon were quite respectful in the way that they decided to keep the scoreline down. Yeah.
And then in the second half, at the 70th minute mark, Abubakar makes it 2-0. They're still playing against the 10-man, and this is his 6th goal in 4 games of the AFCON. Devo, since you're doing the AFCON fantasy football, did you already know from the very beginning that this guy would go as hard as he is actually going?
No, because I actually had Toko Ekambi in from the beginning.
Right.
Abubakar brought in after the second game. Because I know Toko Ekambi is doing pretty well at Lyon in bits and pieces, doing really well in Europa League. So I trusted him to be more of the marksman for Cameroon. But Abubakar has always scored goals pretty much ever he's gone in his career. But to score 6 in the tournament already is unbelievable. So fair play to him. And people are acting as if he's not scored goals around Europe for most of his senior career. He's scored goals in Portugal, scored goals in Turkey. He's been around.
Yeah. It's kind of weird how it feels like he's a breakout star at 30. Like people have only just kind of noticing his name. It's kind of crazy. But I want to give Comoros a bit of credit because I feel like their performance was so. Like, it's kind of a word that's thrown around, but it was a very brave performance, right? It was very disciplined. They made it very difficult for Cameroon. They defended well in general. And they did have their moment with an absolute world-class goal at the end, which, from a free kick, I absolutely love it. I think I sent a WhatsApp to Tommy at the time saying he kicked that like a goal kick. He just put his foot through it like, this is going as far as it possibly can. Flew into the top corner. And I've said it on a previous pod, I do love every team to have their moment. And I love that Comoros in this game had that moment of like, despite the situation, despite the hand they've been dealt, they managed to get a goal. And I thought it was a really beautiful moment. And for Comoros, like they can definitely leave with more than their heads held high. Like a really great achievement.
And they had
they're on the football map now. They're on the football map. No one would have heard of Comoros outside of Africa before this tournament. And now they're firmly placed on the football map. So, and that is a little crowning moment for them right at the end there. I think they could be very proud of their achievement.
And at the end of the game, they had actually more shots on target than Cameroon. 7 for Comoros and 6 for Cameroon. And with a strong Inter bias, I have to say that I'm super happy to see Onana, after a shaky beginning to the tournament, finally showing up and performing. He had to put his big hands to save the ball from going into the net quite a few times. He also had a save with his feet. And Comoros, with only 10 men, a defender in goal. And we should give the man credit. I'm going to pull out his name right now. Number 3, Aladour. We hoped until the last minute that it would go to penalties and you would save the last one to send the Comoros to the quarterfinals. But in the end, it didn't happen. And about the free kick, I have to say one thing. I have no recollection whatsoever. This summer, we, of course, watched the European Championship. I have no recollection whatsoever of any direct free kick taken directly towards the goal from that far out. And it feels like in the AFCON, it's just kind of like something that you have to do. Like when you've got the ball there, just like with the tip of your foot, just like boom, goal kick straight into the goal. Am I making this up, or is it true that in Europe you see that much, much less?
There's been a few, right? Because Morocco had one as well, right? Where they've just
I mean, I feel like in the AFCON they do it way more than we ever see it in European football.
Yeah, I think in European football, a lot of the long shots have been kind of, it's not what the managers want anymore because it's like giving away possession, isn't it? You want to get a bit closer where your XG is slightly higher. I think I agree with you on that one.
I just thought of something. I feel like in the Bundesliga back in the day, there were quite a few of those goals. And I remember one, it's actually one of my favorite goals on YouTube, also for the commentary. It's a player called Maximilian Porcello. And the Porcello in Italian means pig, but it's like, it's not the official word. It's like almost slang for pig. And this guy is at the halfway line, and he just like kicks it straight to goal, and it goes in perfectly, and the commentator goes crazy. It just goes Porcello. It's so funny. Look it up, Maximilian Porcello free kick. You should find it. But then let's move on to the next game if we're done. Actually, one thing that we should say about Cameroon Comoros. There was a bad accident that happened outside of the stadium before the game, actually in the opening minutes of the game. And I'm assuming it was just a lot of people in the same space, and it ended up being a bit of a disaster. And 4 to 6 people, I think, lost their lives. And just wanted to remember that happened, and that definitely CAF should address the issue so that it doesn't happen anymore during this tournament.
There were I read somewhere that one of the gates was left locked, or there was some kind of like error within the stadium or within the staff at the stadium. But obviously I've read it in a few places, but just it's awful for this to happen. And then for this, it's just an awful thing, isn't it? There's nothing much more you can say. It's horrible, and our thoughts are with whoever's affected. And hopefully there's lessons learned, right? Hopefully lessons are learned.
Hopefully. The next day, on Tuesday, we had the Senegal Cape Verde 2-0. This was a pretty exciting game, and we have to say something. The injury that Mané suffered really reminded me of that Liverpool-Man City game. However, that time it was even worse. Do you remember when Ederson put his studs on? Oh no, that was the opposite. Actually, it was
Mané on Ederson.
Yeah, it was Mané on Ederson. Yeah. Correct. I thought for some reason that Mané had the worst of it back in the day, but it's true. So karma, could we say?
Mané does love to leave an elbow in. He does love
an elbow. Does Sadio Mané now?
But what I found mad was that he was quite obviously concussed. He was quite obviously not in a good place, and they just let him carry on to play, and then he goes and scores, right? The coach will say he made the right decision, but how do we feel about like this concussion protocol?
There was a lot of talk about concussions, and there has been a lot of talk about concussions over the years, and a lot of protocol has been put in place to protect the players from things like this. And I think it's a shame that wasn't followed, because the damage that could have been done to Sadio Mané, we don't even know the extent of it now. I mean, he went to hospital and they checked him out, but concussion is something that can lie dormant, and as soon as someone goes down, apparently he was on the pitch feeling nauseous, dizzy and all that kind of stuff. The substitution had to be made there and then. Protect the players first at all costs. The fact that he went on to score a goal is testament to how tough he is. But he shouldn't have been in that position anyway. Make the substitution straight away, because we still don't really know what we're dealing with when it comes to concussions within football. It's something that in American sports, in the NFL, they've put a lot of research into it. They're very serious about concussion protocol. They won't allow you to do anything once you're in it. Even if you think you're all right, you're coming off, and you're going straight to the doctors or whatever else. So it's a bit of a shame, and it paints a bad picture for Senegal and their medical team.
And I apologize if I was very confusing at the beginning of this bit, talking about Sané instead of Sadio Mané. I apologize for the mix-up, and also having bad memories about what happened between him and Ederson in the Premier League. I have to say one thing, Sadio Mané is a very experienced player, and I assume that if he goes down, the medics take care of him, and then he says, I'm fine. At the same time, I'm sure he suffered from concussions before, and he should know how he's feeling. But as Devo said, then at the same time, they are kind of dormant, and probably the problems really showed later. And at that point, he asked.
And the thing is, it's a problem they have in the NFL, not to go off on too much of a tangent, but the players play through injury. They will play through anything, right? And players are always going to say, I'm fine, right? I'm fine. I can play. So you can't really take them at their word either. You have to step in and be like, no, we need to follow this protocol to make sure you're okay, because most professionals are going to be like, no, I'm fine, just let me play in like a big game for your country. Like, I don't think you're going to admit to it, are you? So there has to be steps in place.
Unless you're Jack Wardwell.
Unless you're Jack, yeah.
And of course, in pure AFCON style, 2 red cards in this game, not even one. Devo, how do we feel about the first one, and how do we feel about the second one, which happened when the goalkeeper Vozinha went out and headbutted Mané, who had an advantage on the ball?
Not gonna lie to you, I haven't seen the first one. I've seen
neither.
The second one.
To be honest, I couldn't find it. I couldn't find the first one. It wasn't in the highlights on YouTube, and then I wasn't able to find. All right, let's go to the second one then. The goalkeeper coming out. Do you feel like it was a fair red card?
I think in a way, yes, but I also think the decision was made because of the injury and the severity of the injury. I think sometimes when a referee has got that much time to look into something and they see the aftermath, it kind of sways their decision. I think if he didn't give it and he maybe gave a yellow, I would have said, okay, that's fine. But he did give it. I can also understand that point of view. So I'm not going to say it's a wrong decision, but I think he's made that decision because of the amount of time he had to kind of think about it and the aftermath of what happened.
Yeah, exactly. I think he was definitely influenced by like the outcome of it. My first instinct was it was quite harsh, but maybe I'm too soft on red cards. I feel like I'm going, no, that's really harsh, and everyone's like, no, it was fine. So maybe I need to like readjust my what's the word, criteria even. But no, I thought it was harsh, but yeah, I think he did. He was influenced by the concussion, wasn't he?
Mané has an advantage on the ball, and he touches the ball, and the goalkeeper goes nowhere near the ball. He headbutt him on the head. I think it was accidental, but you can give it or give a yellow, but I think it's no scandal that he was given a red card. From that moment on, Cape Verde had to play with 9 players against 11, and eventually Baba Dieng scored the second goal for Senegal, coming in from the bench at the 70th minute mark. And about this game, how did you feel about Senegal's performance, Devo? I feel like this was the first game where Senegal actually showed some good-looking football. They weren't looking for that cross in the box constantly anymore, and it was more like ball on the ground, definitely playing against 10, and then 9 men helped. But I felt like there was a bit more of tactics.
Yeah, I feel like they're just about coming out of their shell. I think, everyone can clearly see the wealth of talent that Senegal have. And, as I was saying earlier in the show, it's just a matter of time before they start clicking. And it looks like the gears are starting to move and things are starting to fall into place. I believe that, Bamba Dieng, I like what he's doing this season at Marseille. I think he's a very good player. I think him, Habib Diallo, these players coming off the bench are weapons that most teams in Africa won't have. And I think they will be very integral to Senegal going forward. I think they've just got so many weapons at the top end of the pitch. It was just a matter of time before they find their feet.
What did you feel like about this game, Rory?
Yeah, I think it's the first time Senegal have scored more than 1 goal, right? So, baby steps, making progress. I think, like Devo touched on before, the fact that they do have so much talent and we haven't seen it yet means it is quite a kind of scary thought that they could wake up at some point. And this was a chance for them to kind of get that confidence. Like you said, against 9 men definitely helps. But I don't think any teams would still feel confident going up against them.
And can we all agree that Senegal's manager is probably the most stylish manager in the AFCON?
That's Ring About a Song, right?
What?
It's Ring About a Song.
Aliou Cissé. Aliou Cissé.
That's it.
Aliou Cissé, sorry. Yeah.
He's just, I don't know, Adidas, I don't know if they tailored it for him, but he's got this crazy cool looking style, very Kanye West-like, kind of like loose clothes, all white, a white mask to fit the rest of the look, and it looks incredible. But one other thing that we need to say about Senegal, they are the only team, I want to say, that are yet to concede a goal in the AFCON. I'm going to double check if they're actually the only one.
I'm pretty sure they're the only one.
Off the top of my head, they might as well be. Well, still, a team that is yet
to concede a goal
in the AFCON.
Yeah. And it's something that's going under the radar as well, because we've just focused on the fact that they haven't scored many goals. But yeah, they're not conceding goals, so it doesn't matter, right? Like, it's the Italians will appreciate that, Tommy.
Oh yeah, big time, big time. We often say that Serie A is won not by the best team, but by the best defense alone. And then on the same night,
championships.
Yeah, exactly. The European Championships. And on the same night, on the Tuesday night, we had Morocco, Malawi, with an exclamation point of a free kick by, once again, ex-Interman, Achraf Hakimi. Beautiful to see. But Devo, take us through this game, because Malawi actually took the lead at the 7th minute with a banger of a goal, possibly the goal of the tournament so far.
Yes, the goal of many tournaments. It's a goal that you won't see replicated, because no one in their right mind would shoot from that distance. If you're his teammate, you're thinking, what are you doing? Oh, what a goal. You just don't shoot from there.
I was playing football this week with someone who's, every time he gets the ball, he shoots. And one time out of 100, it went in. I was like, oh, great goal. Oh, that means he's going to do it every time now. And I feel like his teammates are going to be going, oh, he's never going to stop doing that now. It's gone in. No. He's going to commit to it fully.
Unbelievable goal. He had absolutely no right to score from there. I kind of want to say that the goalkeeper's positioning was poor, but why would you be positioned when someone's got the ball that far out? You're thinking, right, how is this move gonna develop? Oh, he's had a shot. It's in the top corner.
I agree with you. I was going to say exactly the same thing. The goalkeeper was off his line, but at the same time, why would you be? That's what they teach you to do. Be there, so if they pass the ball back, you can build up the play from the back. Incredible goal. But what went wrong for Malawi, in your opinion?
I just think they were playing against a better side. I think Morocco are one of the better sides in this tournament. And you go a goal up so early, and you're going to start feeling that, right, we have to protect this, because the onslaught's going to come sooner or later. And I think your mindset kind of changes when you're playing against a much better side, which they are, not to disrespect Malawi, but Morocco are a much better side. And you start to think, sooner or later, they're going to come at us. Sooner or later, we have to, let's be careful here, let's be careful. Instead of having that same mindset of 0-0, which is funny because every Sunday league ground across the world, as soon as the first goal goes, it's 0-0, lads.
Still 0-0.
Yeah, but you can't help but think, we're a goal up here. If we can just hold on, we win this. And eventually Morocco's quality just kind of shone through, and they was able to come back, and obviously we know what happened next.
Well, that's it, exactly. And like, Malawi weren't expected to get through the group. Like, for them to get through the group is like, it was a big achievement. So I think, them coming up against Morocco, fair play. Banger of a goal. You took the lead. Like, you see you again next time, hopefully. Like,
yeah. And Ananizri scored the equalizer at the 47th minute mark, actually the added time of the first half. And then Achraf Hakimi with his second goal, second free kick, coming from the second free kick of this tournament. Man, this guy is perfecting his free kicks, and they're beautiful to see. They just like curl around the wall, go all the way up, and they're kind of unsavable, I feel like.
Yeah, I did not know he had that in his locker. That's something new I've never seen from him. So fair play. There's such a battle at the moment for best right back in the world. Mm-hmm. He's right at the top of that list. He's such a good player, and he's learning and improving every year.
And I have to say one thing, for the position he plays in, it's not that common to see a guy that big. Achraf Hakimi is a big dude. He's fast, he can cross, he can shoot. And now, we didn't know it was in his locker, but he's got the free kicks too. Rory, what do you think? Do you think he's going to have a chance to take free kicks at PSG now?
I would most likely not. Most likely not. And my question was going to be, Tommy, like, how much does it hurt that you sold him? Does it bother you that you sold him?
Look, I don't know. There is this thing that at Inter Milan this summer, it felt like we would be in shambles, but somehow things turned out right. So I want to think that if Hakimi had stayed, maybe other things wouldn't have happened. So I'm very sorry to see Hakimi play for another team. But I mean, things are looking good at Inter. Of course, if we can get him back in the future at some point, I would love to see him wear the Inter kit again. But at the moment, I'm not really disappointed. I'm just happy for the guy. He's a guy that never said anything against Inter Milan.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of knew all along last year that he would be the pawn that we had to sacrifice, to make some bank. But I'm not that salty. Also because Dumfries has been having a very good season so far.
Very fair.
And we are going to get to the transfer market chat later, but I don't think Inter have much to worry on the wings.
Ooh, little spoiler there, little spoiler. Yeah.
Spoiler alert. But so our friend Dean M is definitely not going to be happy that Tunisia, Egypt, and Morocco are all going to the quarterfinals of the tournament. Malawi, thanks for participating. That incredible goal from Mango was not enough. And at the end of the day, if you look also at the stats, Morocco had 10 shots on target. Malawi only had 2. The better side ended up winning the game.
Undoubtedly.
And then we moved to Wednesday when there were 2 nil-nils and they had to go all the way to the penalty shootout in pure AFCON style, as Rory loves to see. Ivory Coast, the Elephants, are out of the tournament. Egypt are the winners of that matchup. Did you guys have a chance to watch the game? Because I'll be honest, I did not.
It was a great game. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
you enjoyed it
in the first half.
I thought it was 2 teams with 2 very different styles, and they were both just trying to play their game. For a 0-0, it was really open. There was lots of chances. I think Egypt marginally were the better side. In the first half, they hit the crossbar. Salah came close with a shot. The Ivory Coast keeper made a good amount of decent saves. And then Ivory Coast's only chance in the first half was from Sangare, who has definitely been one of the players of the tournament. I was not aware of this guy at all. And then watching this tournament, I want him at Arsenal. Instantly, I'm like, right, get him at Arsenal. I love this guy. He had a scissor kick, which was well saved. And then the second half, I just feel like both the teams, it was weird. Ivory Coast, obviously, they've got all that flair and pace up front. They were very much trying to dribble into the box, get close. Egypt were quite happy to take long shots. And neither team were able to adjust their style or go to a plan B to win the game. I feel like it was kind of a bit of a stalemate. What did you think of it?
Yes, so I saw most of the first half. I wasn't able to see the second half, but I agree. I think Egypt probably just were the better side. I do think that Sangare Transi probably should have done better. I feel like he didn't necessarily need to perform the scissor kick.
No, possibly not.
It's a bit of a flashy attempt. And he probably could have concentrated a little bit more, getting a bit more power and direction on it. But yeah, I think they did kind of cancel each other out. I think it was a good game of football, very open. But you kind of knew the longer the game went on, it's kind of suited Egypt.
Yeah.
And I felt going into, but as soon as I heard that it had gone into penalties, I knew Egypt were going to go through because Ivory Coast and penalties aren't a good match.
No, it never usually goes well. And Egypt's penalties, all of them were amazing. Like, they've definitely been practicing penalties. Most of them went into the top corner. Like, none of them looked nervous. Whereas Ivory Coast, a few of them kind of snuck in. Now, Eric Baies' penalty was the most cocky thing I've seen from a player who I don't think has earned the right to be that cocky. A no-look, stuttered run, chip penalty. What did you make of it? I thought it was ridiculous.
Yeah, you can't do that on a deciding penalty. If you're the first penalty taker, by all means, try that.
Yeah.
But you're the deciding penalty and you try that in such a high-pressure moment. It's not what you'd want from your player. If I was the manager and his teammates, I'd feel very, very disappointed in him.
Definitely. Tommy, also Salah waiting for the 5th penalty. I don't know what you think about players doing this. I know it's backfired on Ronaldo in the past for Portugal, where he waited for the 5th penalty and they'd already gone out. What do you think about it, Tommy? I hate it. I think it really is taken away from the team ethic behind football, waiting for the 5th penalty. Just get yours put away because your team could go out before the 5th penalty.
It's like in the what do they call it at the Olympics? The one that Italy won against England this summer,
the relay.
One of the things that we won against England.
You can have to narrow it down, Tommy.
It's like in the relay, you usually have the fastest guy last. But in this case, yeah, it's risky. It is risky, but at the same time, it's also the biggest responsibility. The fifth penalty is the biggest responsibility, and the guy with the steadiest nerves should take that penalty. And if Salah is the guy with the steadiest nerves in that team, then he should be the one to take the penalty. It can backfire, but if it goes well, it's pretty stylish that your number 10 gets to bag the last penalty. And I have to give a shout out to Mr. Mohamed El Shenawi, the goalkeeper for Egypt, because throughout the 120 minutes of play, he had some beautiful saves from what I saw in the highlights. So both goalkeepers with actually a very impressive game.
Well, he ended up coming off injured because that pitch was an absolute state. It was so dry. I think he ended up pulling a muscle in a save, right? And the other keeper came on, which could have derailed Egypt completely. But they managed to, their sub-keeper, I think it was only his second cap for the country, I think. He came on, saved a penalty, albeit a terrible penalty. He saved the penalty. And they're through. And then the last game, quickly before we go on to before we let Dev go, the last game was another 0-0. Mali against Equatorial Guinea, and are Equatorial Guinea now the story of the tournament? Have they taken Comoros' crown as story of the tournament? What do you think, Devo?
Yes, I suppose they probably have. Let's see what they do in the quarterfinals. But I suppose why Comoros was so highly regarded is because they came through a very difficult group. They then obviously had the COVID outbreak and everything like that, and everyone's expecting them to get stuffed 12-1, i.e. me. But yeah, Equatorial Guinea have just quietly gone on about their business, and Mali are a very good side. So some really good players in that Mali team, and for them to come through that, it's credit to them as well. But yeah, giant killing is just the major story of this tournament. So fair play to Equatorial Guinea, and I hope they do well in the next game.
One thing that our friend Dean Emmy got right: expect the unexpected from the AFCON. It's the tournament where it's very hard to make predictions. Something that Devo probably didn't know when he bet all of his life savings on Nigeria.
I should have known, because how many tournaments ago was it? Zambia won.
Yeah, 2012, I want to say. Yeah, maybe a bit later.
Yeah. 3 tournaments ago. So we should have known. These things happen.
But we need to say, if Eric Baies' penalty was terrible, we need to give Akapo his props for doing a Panenka in the penalty shootout. One of the key penalties to get Equatorial Guinea through. On the same hand, though, some of the Mali penalties were absolutely awful, skied over the bar. We've seen a lot of penalties skied over the bar throughout this tournament, I think. Maybe the dry turf again. But throughout the game, Mali missed so many chances. Basuma put a chance on a plate and the striker completely screwed it over the bar. I feel like Mali should have won this game easily. But Equatorial Guinea did it, and they're into the quarterfinals by scoring 2 goals. It's incredible. They scored 2 goals. That's it.
That's efficiency at its maximum. By the way, guys, I wanted to tell you that throughout this entire recording, I was checking, and I confirmed that Senegal are the only team to not have conceded a single goal. Let's go. That was lucky. There are teams that have conceded only 1, but Senegal are the only ones with an overall clean sheet. Devo, we thank you very much for being a part of this. We will let you go. Take care of your daughter. What can you tell our listeners about your projects, your YouTube channel, your Twitter handles, and so on?
Yeah, okay. So I'm part of a YouTube channel, co-founder with the main man, Gav Mack. We run MAD Sports Network, so we cover a whole host of sports, including football. We do a European show which covers the Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga, SPL. I'm missing one here.
Too many sports. Cricket?
Yeah, I'm missing one. But yeah, we cover a Premier League show on a Sunday. We have NFL, NBA, MMA, boxing, darts, wrestling.
Darts. Yeah, I've seen Gav Mack tweeting about darts. I've seen a lot of dart tweets. Yeah.
So yeah, just that's MAD Sports Network. Just pop that in Google. We'll come up first. You can follow us there on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and my own personal Twitter is Devo Land LDN, I believe. Devo Land LDN or Devo LDN. It's right there in front of me. Devo LDN.
Yeah, I was gonna correct you. Then I was like, he knows it's written right there. But Devo,
don't have kids.
It's been a pleasure, and sorry for mispronouncing your name at the beginning. I called you Devo, which in Italian is a compliment. Devo is like a celebrity. So Devo,
I'll take it.
Il Devo Devo. Very good.
I'll take it. Thank you. You know the only thing I know in Italian, just before I go, it's a song that I was taught by someone who's from Naples.
Go for it. What's
brucia la bandera. Oh, Juventus, brucia la bandera.
Brucia la bandera. Oh, Juventus. It means burn your flag, Juventus. I like it.
Someone from Naples taught me that. So.
Of course they would. Thank you very much, man. Talk to you soon.
Guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
And Rory, Devo might be gone, but let's take a quick look at the quarterfinals to see what to expect from these games. It all kicks off on January 29th, which, if I'm not mistaken, is a Saturday, of course, at 5 p.m. with the Scorpions, the Gambia, taking on the hosts, Cameroon. How are you feeling about this game? What should we expect?
Well, I've already said that I think Cameroon are going to get to the final. We've talked about how great Gambia have been, how difficult a team they are to play against, how well they're coached. One of the millions of stories from this tournament, but I do expect Cameroon to get through. It won't be flashy, but they'll get through.
They'll get through. All right. And let's not forget that the Gambia's manager is Rory's idol. He's got the career that Rory wishes to replicate, coaching in Bangladesh, Oman, Yemen, and all over Africa. And then it kicks off at 8 p.m. Central European time, always on Saturday, Burkina Faso, Tunisia. Who's going to go through, Rory? What can we expect from this fixture?
I'm going to keep backing Tunisia. I backed them last time and they beat the favourites Nigeria. I'm going to back them again to beat Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso, we've talked about them. They rely a lot on Bertrand Traoré, who is having a great tournament. But I feel like Tunisia, they're really tough to beat, So I'm going to back Tunisia here. So it gives us a Cameroon-Tunisia semi-final.
I agree with you also because Burkina Faso are coming from 2 consecutive draws, 1-1. Of course, the last one they won on penalties. Before that, the only game they've won so far was against Cape Verde, 1-0. And of course, then they lost their opening game to Cameroon, 2-1. I don't think they quite have it in them. But as you know, the Anglo-Italian pod, wrong predictions only. And then on Sunday, we've got the other 2 games at 4 p.m. A Saharian derby, I want to say. Egypt, Morocco. This is going to be exciting. Mohamed Salah against Achraf Hakimi, a little bit of Liverpool PSG in there. I think this is going to be the game of the quarterfinals. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think this is the one that looks the most exciting. I'm going to say that Egypt gets through. As we've just discussed with Devo, I think they've started off slowly. They're waking up. If they can just get a bit more out of Salah, I feel like they're not quite getting the most they can out of him. I feel like maybe he's just being marked out of games. He's being focused more on by other teams. But I feel like they need to get a little bit more out of Salah. But I think this game they could do, and they should beat Morocco. But I think this will be a great game. There should be goals. There should be goals in this one.
Yeah, I didn't really agree with Devo when he said that once Egypt got to this stage, they're the team to look out for. I haven't been very impressed by Egypt so far, but maybe I'm wrong. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game, but I can see Morocco going through. And then it all wraps up at 8 p.m. with the Senegal, Equatorial Guinea. And let's see if Senegal have it in them to keep going like they did in this previous game. However, Equatorial Guinea could make it hard for them. What do you think?
I think this is going to be attack versus defense. Equatorial Guinea are very good at one thing. They're really good at high pressure turnovers. So they're really good at winning the ball back in the other team's half. It does leave them a little bit exposed at the back, but it does prevent teams from building from the back. I think they're ranked first in high pressure turnovers, and they create a lot of chances from that. They've created 8 chances across the tournament, which again puts them number 1. So I feel like they could really cause Senegal problems, but as we've said, Senegal haven't conceded a goal yet. the only team not to concede a goal. Well done.
As Tommaso just said and turned out to be true. Nice.
But I think Senegal might score more than one goal here because Equatorial Guinea do leave themselves a little bit open at the back.
Can I say one thing, though? Senegal did play 69 minutes against 10 men, and then they played 23 minutes against 9 men, and they were only able to score 2 goals in those after the second players was sent off.
Yeah, it's not great, is it? It's not great. If this one went to extra time, I wouldn't be surprised. Let's say that.
Right.
Yeah, let's say that.
We are getting to the final stages of the tournament. Of course, we will have the chance to remind you thoroughly on social media, but just so you know, on Sunday, February 6th, no matter what the final is going to be, Rory and I are going to be there to cover it live on YouTube and Twitch. If Twitch doesn't ban us for some reason, I will make my stash grow again. I think it's about the stash.
Good.
But it's going to be at 8 p.m. Central European time on February 6th. We're going to be live. We did the same thing for the Champions League last year. It was a lot of fun. Maybe we should go a low lower with the beers. Yeah.
We're going to say that now, but it probably won't happen. I'll be honest.
I know. Also because then when you're online and you know that someone might just bump onto your live stream on YouTube, you're just like, oh, let me drink a little bit of beer to feel less nervous. But Rory, overall, have you been happy about this tournament so far?
I'm loving it. I'm really, really loving it. I'm glad that the slow start, again, as Devo said, international tournaments always start slowly, but this tournament has really exploded into life. We've had so many giant killings, so many upsets, so many teams that you didn't know about before that you've now fallen in love with. I've really enjoyed this tournament. I'm glad that we're getting to like the business end where things get serious. I genuinely don't know who's going to lift it. I think you could say like for quite a few teams, you can put an argument forward. So it's really open. Like the 3 favorites are all out, right? So it's anyone's really.
True. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to the next section where we're going to talk mainly about the transfer window as big names are coming back to Serie A. Did you think it was all about Ribéry and Nani? Think twice. Mr. Diego Costa is back. We're going to talk about the transfer window in the UK as well. And then a few words about a certain Mario Balotelli going back to the Azzurri training camp. All of this in the next section.
So it is time. The transfer window is slowly or rapidly slamming shut. We're not quite sure which one it is, but it is time to talk about Premier League, Serie A, general Europe, transfers. There's no actual matches, so transfers is all there is to talk about. Let's do it. Tommy, how are you feeling about the transfer window? It's been quite quiet-ish a little bit, I think.
It's been quietish, but there have been some big names on the list. Before we start, I just wanted to share a little fact. Rory, how many kits have Napoli worn this season so far? How many different kits?
I saw this. I think it's something ludicrous, like 8?
11 different kits. And they are all awful, including the one, which I think is a great idea with Maradona on it. I just think they could have done a much better job.
I'm going to disagree with you. Each player could wear a different kit and play the game, which is crazy. I liked the Halloween one, controversial, I know. I liked the Spiderweb one. I thought it was quite like cheesy but cool. I quite like the Maradona one. I think it is what it is. The blue and white stripe Argentina one I thought wasn't terrible.
That one was good. That one I liked it.
And their initial kits, Napoli in red, I don't like. There's something about Napoli in red I don't like. But I think the actual home kit, it's Armani, right? It's pretty good. But that new one with the flames, you're right, is pretty terrible.
It just looks like a stove, right?
Like yeah. I've got that in my kitchen, I'm pretty sure. But the... like things you hate about modern football, number 3,952,000, like the sheer number and amount of merchandise that clubs are throwing out. Arsenal are getting really fucking bad at it, but I feel like Napoli are like leading the way in terms of how can we squeeze the most money out of our fans, knowing that people will fucking buy it. Like, who's at fault? The clubs for releasing it or idiots for buying it? Like, I don't know. it feels awful that a club has decided to release 11 kits in one season. I still am quite old school. I think it should be a kit should last 2 seasons, maybe 3. Where you can be like, we're just going to have this kit for 3 years. That's how it was when I were a lad, when I was growing up. That's how it was. You don't have to buy. I know how capitalism works. You don't have to explain it to me, but that's how it should be. A kit is not just for Christmas; it's for life. Something like that. I don't know.
And then 3 kits, home, away, and then a third one in case you meet somebody who's got your same away kit or some shit like that. But let's actually talk about transfer windows. And since we are in Italy, where could we start if not from the most exciting youngster after Haaland and Mbappe, in my opinion, Dusan Vlahovic? Why did he decide to make this move and go play as a right back at Juventus? I don't understand it. It wounds me up. What do you think is the motivation behind it, Rory?
Every player in this league wants to play for Juventus. I'm sorry. Every player in this league wants to play for Juventus. The second they come in for someone, they go to Juventus. It's like Bayern in Germany, right? Any good young player in that league just go, whoop, picked up, and they're taken to Bayern. Whoop, Juventus just grab them. They've done it with Locatelli. They've done it with Chiesa. Now they're doing it with Vlahovic. Look, as an Arsenal fan, I wanted to get carried away with the dream. I did get carried away a little bit with the dream of Vlahovic wearing the number 10, number 9 for Arsenal. But I always thought ultimately it wasn't going to happen. We don't have that pull anymore. Thierry Henry was a long time ago. Wenger was a long time ago. I knew he wasn't really going to join. And then I thought, well, which clubs are in for him? And there was only really Juventus. Like Bayern are quite obviously going to try and go for Haaland, as are Real Madrid, as are Barcelona. Real Madrid also have an eye on Mbappe. Like I feel like a lot of the English teams just weren't looking at Vlahovic. I feel like Juventus have just kind of strolled in and taken him. Like Arsenal really did try to get him, and I'm just glad that we're attempting to get these players, because in the past we've not even tried to get world-class players. Now we're like, right, we've got the money, let's try. And that is, it's been grim at Arsenal, baby steps, but that's progress. But I just feel like no other clubs came in for him, so of course he's going to go to Juve, and ultimately he'll probably win the league there at some point. So the decision will be vindicated, and he might be in the top 10 goal scorers of Serie A, which apparently is what he wants. He wants to break goal scoring records here.
Yeah, it's just very sad. It really wounds me up. And Juventus have been choosing a green line, as we call it in Italy. Their most recent purchases have all been very young players, starting from the league to going to Bernardeschi and so on. Right now, Vlahovic, 21 years old only, definitely one of the, if not the most exciting striker in Italian football at the moment. But another thing is that this adds further fuel to the fire that exists between Fiorentina and Juventus. Now, I looked this up, and this big rivalry started actually in 1928 when Fiorentina were beaten 11-0 by Juventus, which is something that kind of tends to stick. But then in 1981-1982 season, Fiorentina and Juventus were head-to-head to win the Scudetto, but in the closing matches of the season, apparently there was a game that Juventus cheated in, and they ended up winning, while Fiorentina were disallowed a goal that would have made them leapfrog Juventus at the top of the league. Juventus ended up winning that season, and that was like the first big spark. And then in 1990, Juventus won the UEFA Cup final 3-1 against the Fiorentina in the first leg, and in the second leg they drew 0-0, but apparently the refereeing was just woeful. And then what happened? Baggio, ladies and gentlemen, Roberto Baggio going the Divin Codino, going from Fiorentina to Juventus. It sparked massive protests in the city of Florence, and then that was followed by Bernardeschi, Chiesa, and now Vlahovic. Just so you know how serious the Fiorentina fans are about this rivalry, ever since the first announcement that Vlahovic would go to Fiorentina, the Serbian has been living with cops outside of his house, and wherever he's going, he's being escorted by policemen. So there are banners all over the city.
Some of them using pretty horrific language. One of the words we heard chanted at him in the past, and we've referenced on the pod, fans are fickle, eh? They turn pretty quick. But I feel really bad for Fiorentina fans to an extent because their owner Commisso, right? Commisso, he did say we no longer sell to Juventus. I won't sell players to Juventus, and he's now sold their last 3 promising players straight to Juventus. Their fans, I get it. You'd be sick of it, like. You would be completely sick of it. But I think also for them, his contract runs out in 18 months. It's either you get the money now or we get no money.
And
I think
it's good money, 75 million, plus 5 in bonuses.
Well, they say exactly with 18 months remaining, they could lowball massively on that. They could say 50 or nothing. Like, so they're doing like 70 is a decent offer. And I think obviously that's not going to be much consolation for Fiorentina fans, but I think it should. I think they should kind of also think, you know, we could get a worse deal. He could go to Juventus for free. What are they going to do? Burn his house down? At least they're getting some money for him. Like, and a lot of money, not even some money.
And I think that actually Commisso is a very serious president. And right now they've got Italiano on the sideline managing the team. And I feel like there is a project there. And they knew that Vlahovic would go somewhere at some point. So I think that if they are smart enough with this 80 million, they have the money and they have the squad already to do something in Serie A in the following years. So there is a silver lining to this, but of course, knowing that it's going to Juventus, especially when Juventus are struggling so hard, is definitely annoying. Rory,
stop helping them. This is good.
You guys don't get it. If I were him, I would have gone to Arsenal, honestly. I thought that the project... if there is one, is quite exciting. There are a lot of youngsters, and Tottenham have a Harry Kane, Chelsea have Lukaku. However, he's not really performing.
Neither of them are, by the way. But yeah,
and it feels like Arsenal really have been lacking that number 9 up front. And
we're going to get onto it at some point. But yes, you're absolutely right. I just think, like I said, the Henry pull. The Arsenal that was great is a long time ago now, and we've not been in the Champions League for a long time. And for a player like him, Juventus could maybe not get Champions League this year, but they will get it next year. If you know what I mean, like whereas with Arsenal, you don't know when is the next time we're going to get it. So I kind of understand it, but I think he has shown a certain lack of imagination. Let's say, because I think there is a project under Arteta. We have got exciting young players there. He could have been a part of it, and he could have been a genuine dynasty signing.
Yeah. And we will see how he does at Juventus. But at this point with Vlahovic, I'm pretty sure they are going to make the top 4 and go to next year's Champions League. Rory, let's just jump back and forth between Italy and England. What has been the standout transfer in the Premier League?
Well, so far, it's Newcastle trying to buy absolutely everybody. So first, they now linked with Arsenal again. Bruno, I think I'm going to say it's right, Guimarães. My Portuguese is terrible. From Lyon, central midfielder, really promising, about 23 years old. A midfielder I would definitely love to see at Arsenal. Apparently, Newcastle are in for him. This could be a signing that would genuinely turn that club around. A proper linchpin in midfield, creative player, able to win the ball back, just a player that you can build a team around. If Newcastle managed to get him, that would be huge. There's rumours that Arsenal are involved. We're not involved. We are involved. We're not involved. Then Newcastle had an offer accepted. Then the Lyon official Twitter page said, we've not received an offer. So who knows what's going on there. But Newcastle are definitely active. They've tried and failed to get Diego Carlos from Sevilla. Now, I don't think they've revealed how much the bid was, but Sevilla have said that the offer was good and respectable, but not at the right time for Sevilla. And when you see where Sevilla are in the table, they are currently second in La Liga on 46 points, only 4 points behind Real Madrid. Now, look, Real Madrid are easily the favourites to win the league, but Diego Carlos has a chance to make real history with Sevilla here. So I kind of understand why maybe Sevilla are being, you know what, wait until the summer, and he's going, you know what, wait until the summer. Let's see if we can finish this and really put, if Sevilla managed to achieve something there, it would be huge. But that means it's another target that Newcastle have just about missed out on, as well as Jesse or Messi Lingard from Manchester United. So Newcastle have offered to loan him for the rest of the season, and they are learning that when clubs know how much money you've got, they put a premium on your transfers. So Newcastle offered to loan.
Really?
Yeah, who'd have thought it? Newcastle offered to loan him, and the amount of money that United asked for would apparently have worked out at roughly $500,000 to $1 million per game for the rest of the season. Now, Jesse Lingard's contract is running out at the end of the season anyway. I think he's kind of holding on to go to West Ham. I think he wants to go back to West Ham. United now, I think they just want a number, like they can use him in the squad if they need to. They'll let him go at the end of the season. They're not going to get that much anyway. So it's like nothing lost, nothing gained, really. But for Newcastle, another target that's not quite arriving. And I think they are learning that despite being the richest club in the world, the position really is scaring a few players off because these players do not want to be stuck in the Championship next year. And the last player that they have been linked with is, and I quite like this move, Dan Burn from Brighton. Now, the left back, so they've got Kieran Trippier at right back. They've gone for Dan Burn at left back. Now, I'm not sure how much the offer is. I'm not sure if it's been accepted. I'm not sure if the bid's even been made, but there's rumours of it. Now, Dan Burn is famously the tallest left back in the world at something daft like 6'9". The guy is absolutely huge. But he's actually a good defender, really good defender, can play centre back as well, because of course he can at that height. So I think that could actually be, like Trippier, quite a sensible move for Newcastle. But they are definitely the club that are getting the most headlines at the moment. And quickly, while we kind of semi-mentioned Sevilla, we should talk about Anthony Martial getting a move on loan to Sevilla, being welcomed by a video in the stadium from his childhood hero R9, which was really nice to see. And I think this move, now I've talked about Martial in the past and how I think he's massively overrated and he's kind of wasted his career. But I think this could actually be a really good move for him. I think this could be like the breath of fresh air he needs. Sevilla, as we said, title chasing in La Liga, and if they get Martial in form, if they manage to get some goals out of him, he could turn their season around. Like, what do you think, Tommy?
I think Martial is a player that I was very excited about when he first came through the ranks and he made a name for himself. And then I was massively underwhelmed with how his experience went at Manchester United, despite his numbers not being as bad as you would think. So he's still, how old is Martial? He's
28, I want to say.
28. Usually this one is prime time for a striker. And I feel like it's feeling the responsibility that you are the focal point up front really could do good for him.
Oh, 26. Sorry, 26.
26? He's still super young. So beautiful. Super young. 26 years old. How old are you, Rory?
Moving on.
Shall we jump back to Italy? Let's talk about somebody who is definitely a little older than that. He goes by the name of Diego Costa.
This is just brilliant. I love this move.
Taking a plane from Atletico Mineiro all the way to the city of Salerno to team up with Ribery in Mission Impossible: Salernitana. This is just done to not drop to Serie B. I don't know what their plans are if they were to stay in Serie A, honestly. But this is an incredible signing. Vintage Serie A, let's do it. Salernitana are currently on 10 points with only 3 wins and 14 goals scored across 22 games. This is the final move. They just called Diego Costa to bang in goals, but I can see a red card in the first game that he plays. Within
seconds. Now, the thing is, Serie A is a league where old strikers do well, right? Old strikers do very well in Serie A. Luca Toni getting top goal scorer at 52 or whatever he was. Di Natale playing until he was 70. Like, this is a league where old strikers can do well. The problem with Diego Costa is he's got 0 level of self-control. I think this is going to be so entertaining for the second half of the season. I think, honestly, Salernitana, you could see an upturn in form. You could see a few wins along the way. They're probably not going to stay up, but just for sheer narrative, entertainment factor, Diego Costa in Serie A is going to be absolute box office. I hated him when he was in the Premier League because he used to always fucking get Arsenal players sent off and just be his shit house self. And he did the same when he was at Atletico. But I am going to really enjoy watching him at Salernitana. What do you think? I think this could be a good move.
It's just going to be fun, especially right now we're going to do the bids for the new players that have come in the transfer market but yeah, it's going to be, oh no, wait, what's going on? It's not going through.
No.
Oh shit. Sorry guys, but it says stop for Diego Costa. It feels like it's not going through, guys. I will have to read this article, but well,
man.
That was exciting until it lasted. Let's go for something that actually happened.
I was already ordering the Salernitana shirt with Costa on the back. That was already in my head.
You are out of control. You're spending way too much money on football kits, Rory. But this has not gone through. Let's go to a big one that has gone through, and I'm super excited about. We are talking, of course, about the highest scoring defender across the past 5 seasons of Serie A. He's German, and it goes by the name of Robin Gosens, officially moving from Atalanta to Inter. Let's go. Rory, what is your reaction as soon as you heard this?
One, great to see great to see a German back at Inter. Feels like a while since there's been a German at Inter that's done well.
It was Podolski in 15-16, and previously it was Sammer in 1992-1993, Klinsmann before that from 89 to 92, Breme from 88 to 92, Matthaus from 88 to 92, Rummenigge from 84 to 87, Müller from 82 to 84, and before that, I don't know this guy, Zimaniak from 63 to 64. But yeah,
it feels good to have a German.
Good
to have a German back in the black and blue. What a signing. I think Inter have done really well at getting the most out of their wing backs, right? And players that others had kind of written off. So players like Darmian, players like Perisic. These are players that a lot of clubs have just gone, nah, they're done. They're not quite there. And Inter have really got the most out of them. Like, Dumfries has been incredible. And I feel like getting this guy at wing back is a position that you really know how to use. It is going to be an absolute weapon. I think, I'm not going to jinx it, but I think this is like a game changer, an absolute game changer for the league. And he's just come off a big injury though, right? He's been injured for a while.
He's coming back. He's injured right now. There was a very good joke that I read online that said he's replacing Sensi because he's injured, So Sensi
the physio doesn't get lonely.
Exactly. No, but they don't even play in the same position. But yeah, the physio doesn't get lonely, exactly. But the cool stat is that from 2018 until now, he's the top scoring defender across Europe's top 5 leagues with 24 goals. 24 goals from 2018 until now, which is huge. That's like for 5 seasons, 2018, 2019, 1920, 2021, 21-22. That's less than 4 seasons, 24 goals. Let's go. We play with that system. He plays with the same system at Atalanta, and I think it's a great signing. And yes, I agree with you. I like the German touch to this very international squad that Inter Milan have. It's called Internazionale for a reason, right? All right, Rory, let's jump back to the Premier League. What have we got next?
Next, I'm going to talk about Manchester City replacing Ferran Torres with a player who was much cheaper, a little bit younger, and looking at his numbers, it's fucking terrifying. They've replaced him with Julian Alvarez from River Plate in Argentina. They're going to loan him back to River for the rest of the season, so he will be joining them in the summer. But last season, for River Plate, he scored 22 goals and got 16 assists in all competitions. So doing quick maths, that is 22, 32, 38 goal involvements. Yes, I'm terrible at maths.
Yeah, that was not quick. Season. That was math, but it was not quick math.
No, I'm terrible at maths. Quick maths from a slow person. So 38 goal involvements across last season. He's, as I said, 21 years old. He's already won the Copa America, the Copa Libertadores, and the Argentinian Premier League. He plays on the wing, and I think this is a guy to be very, very excited about. Man City often, obviously, get the kind of stone thrown at them that they just throw money at everything. That's all they do. But this time, what they've actually done is they've got a massive transfer fee from a very broke Barcelona, and they've reinvested that money on a player who potentially has a higher ceiling and costs less. So really clever move from Manchester City. looks like they are only getting better. But while we're talking about Barcelona, I know it's not England, Barcelona are finding money from somewhere, Tommy, and I do not understand. They are now getting Adama Traoré. Apparently, they've hijacked the Tottenham deal to get Adama Traoré on loan with an option to buy. Tottenham apparently offered 15 million, but Adama Traoré wants to go back to Spain. He's off to Barcelona. And now there are rumors that Barcelona are trying to get together 100 million to buy Erling Haaland. Whoever their accountant is, whoever their banker is, I want to employ him because that guy could make me rich. I do not understand how they are getting this money. How are they doing it? I don't know.
I don't know either, and I don't have an answer for you, bud. But if we're going back to Serie A, the last transfer that I want to talk about, and we're getting close to the end, and I don't know whether to expect something big or not. AC Milan need a striker, though, so something could happen soon. This player was an early transfer. We've briefly talked about him. Sergio Oliveira from Porto to Roma. The guy has played 2 games, scored 2 goals, and assisted once. His best season at Porto, for which he's played from 2015 until now. That would have been a long career for football.
I know Serie A are good for old players, but not quite that old. Not quite
exactly.
that old.
World War I kid. No, he's been there. He was there until from 2015. His best season was last year, 13 goals in the league across 32 games. I think he's made an incredible impact at Roma, and in our fantasy football auction bids, this player is going to receive a lot of offers. Yeah. I think.
Yep. He's someone I have been looking at and thinking maybe just concentrate on someone else, but I don't know. I feel like that guy's going to go for a big price. But before we leave Serie A, finally, I want to talk about James Abankwah. Remember the name. He has come from St. Pat's in Ireland. He's been signed by Udinese. He's 18 years old. He's a centre-back. Again, he's been sent back on loan to finish the season with St. Pat's. He will then join Udinese at the end of the season. He's already won the league and cup double with St. Pat's. He made 13 appearances this season. And why I'm kind of mentioning this, not only because it's a young Irish player in Serie A, which I'm loving, but it's a real... It feels at the moment in Ireland, there's a very, very promising multicultural group of young players coming through Ireland that are looking very promising. And it's just exciting to see. And seeing kind of Italian teams, there's been a few have moved to Germany, a few in Spain. These European teams are kind of picking up these young Irish talents. It's great to see. James Abankwah, remember the name. Hopefully, we get to see him play in Serie A. It'll be such a great moment. I really, really will be keeping an eye on this guy's career.
Great. And I think that's the end of the episode. A shorter one. You didn't expect it, guys. You see, we can be short and concise as well. For me, it's everything. Remember to follow us on Instagram at Anglo-Italian Pod, on Twitter at Italian Anglopod, and also to follow our sponsor, Sports Club Maps. That's all from me, guys. We'll talk again on Monday night for our AFCON review.
And all I'm going to say is, Arsenal, please do some bloody business. Sign a striker, sign a midfielder. We need this. And now, to send us out, we're going to drop a quote. We're not going to intro it. Just listen.
We're just going to let it's going to be an abrupt ending, guys. Just let this quote sink in. I'll let Rory tell who it is from and everything. You do all the reasoning and you draw your own conclusions.
So Infantino this week has said, we need to find ways to include the whole world to give hope to Africans so that they don't need to cross the Mediterranean in order to find maybe a better life, but more probably death in the sea.